Electricast.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible. In golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2025, Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
McDonald's meets the Minecraft universe with one of 6 collectibles and your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets with spicy Nether Flame sauce. Now available with a Minecraft movie meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time, a Minecraft movie only in theaters.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Power Rankings. Oh my gosh, I'm back. I couldn't make it last week. Mike covered for me. I really do appreciate it. Got a bone to pick with fucking Bobby about that, though. What do you mean I was on my high horse about the Bears when we were winning games? I fucking was so reasonable. I was like, I don't know. We haven't really played anybody. I don't know if Caleb's good or not good. I don't know if anyone's good or not good yet. It's just the first few weeks. I thought that was my whole vibe. When was I going insane? Like, when was I saying we're the best team in football? Seriously. Jeez. You leave your show for 1 week and you get knifed in the back. A2, Bobby. I feel like Augustus. You know, you can't leave the dinner table. Never eat dinner alone, and no one will talk shit about you. I'm just kidding. I obviously very disappointed about the Bears. I'd read an open letter in the MTP Boston show.
Oh, that State of the Sizzle return?
I did a State of the Sizzle. It was depressing. And of course, the Bears not one to leave me alone for a week. I'm glad they did something, but we have to start the show with news as always. And the big news this week is that the Bears have fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. We'd be talking about this if it was neutral. This is the news section of the show. But unfortunately, I am cursed to be a Bears fan. I personally don't think it's enough. I wanted to wake up to Matt Eberflus and the entire coaching staff being shown their walking papers. The Bears have never done that historically, but I think this is an unprecedentedly bad situation. What do you guys think? Bobby, I'll start with you. Is that enough? I've liked what the Thomas Brown, the gentleman that's jumped up to be offensive coordinator on an interim basis. I've liked what he's had to say. Maybe we'll do something with this. You know, something had to happen and a change was required. Bob, is it going to be enough, or is this just like the most putrid shit you've ever seen?
I don't understand what they're waiting for. The Bears have the toughest schedule for the rest of the season, so it's not like things are going to get.
It's going to be pretty.
You have to play your entire division.
Yeah,
literally every single team in the division still. So
yeah,
I don't know what they're waiting for because it's not going to get better from here. You know what I mean? So firing the OC isn't going to be something that solves the issue moving forward. It's just going to, if anything, I don't know if it can get worse, but if anything, it's just not going to get better from here. You know what I mean? So
I do.
I don't understand what they're waiting for when it comes to Eberflus. I don't understand it.
Ray, do you agree that I'm just in for a gauntlet of pain for the remainder of the season, and this change is insignificant, or do you think it was moving in the right direction?
I mean, I think they had to do something, right? Obviously, you know, we just spoke about it. Like, I mean, national media has been on the same wave that we've been on.
Yeah.
I thought like our points have been, useless to bring up, but it's just like at the same time, once again, when you don't score in that many possessions in a row, yeah, ultimately, if you're at the helm of that, yeah, that falls on you. So wholesale changes are hard. Even at the end of the year, it's hard, right? And obviously, it's a lot easier to do at the end of the year because you get the whole regime out of there. You go look for your new guy, and then you start working on the draft process. But doing it at week 10 is really hard because there's a lot of guys in the room that have the relationships. And I'm talking about at the low. I'm not talking about at the head coach. I'm talking about the assistant coaches, the coordinators. Like those are the guys that get their family and stuff uprooted. So that's hard in that regard. But at the same time, I think it sends a message to that offensive side of the locker room saying, hey, collectively, we haven't gotten the job done. So regardless of how the season unfolds, get your act together or some of you won't be here come, February as well. And I love that because I love to send messages. And once again, the talent is there. So I don't want to make it seem like the season's lost because, of Shane Waldron now being shown as walking papers. The talent is there. I said to you, I thought that Caleb Williams would have a Cam Newton type rookie season. That hasn't happened so far. He's shown some signs, obviously, of progression.
but
I don't
also
think,
of regression.
yeah, also, well, of regression as well.
And I
So,
think that's the flashpoint for us as Bears fans. Is it's like we're watching them wreck our shiny new toy,
right.
and it's like the fact that you did see moments of
Mhm,
talent
right.
from him is what's all the more terrifying, because it's such a
Mhm.
fine line between becoming Andrew Luck and becoming,
No,
fucking
right. But
Brady
The
Quinn.
thing,
yeah, go
but
ahead, buddy.
when you lose the locker room like they have, what I just don't know what you're waiting for at that point, because when you have veteran players calling the
It's
bench or
so obvious.
first, right, when you have veteran players calling the bench the first pick in the draft, like the locker room is completely gone at this point. So at this point, to me, I would just do the overhaul at this point and just call it and just
Well,
you know what
because
I
then
mean?
you have
And
time. I think you
start
have
looking
time
for
to
new yeah at this point.
Who do you bring in, though? So I'm
Mike
not saying
Vrabel.
you're wrong, Bobby, but I mean, who do y'all bring in? Who?
Mike Vrabel. Or Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
I think you got to bring in a guy, even on an interim basis. You got to bring in a guy. I think you could get Ron Rivera to be the interim head coach for the remainder of the year, right? And you could sort of make a deal with him where it's like you can bring in your staff at your pace. We'll just fire Eberflus and Waldron. You can come. You can bring an offensive play caller from somewhere or promote somebody from within or whatever. And then you have the rest of the season to evaluate what you're dealing with. And we're giving you a full blown mulligan on that, right? Ron Rivera knows the team. He knows the city. He was the defensive coordinator for the team that made the Super Bowl in '06. He was then the head coach of a Carolina Panthers team that, if you're referencing Cam Newton, I mean, this guy, I think, is a culture guy. He was kind of the proto Dan Campbell, Ron Rivera. He had a lot of that kind of rah-rah stuff on the sidelines.
Mhm.
He comes in and he says, I like what we have over here. I like what we have over here. I know what's available come free agency for both coaching staffs and player personnel. And I get this big runway. To Bobby's point, what are you waiting for? I get this big runway of a complete mulligan for the rest of the season because we're all under the impression that the season is lost. But everybody there gets what you said, Ray. They get the wake-up call. They get the guy coming in that's going to be like, "Oh, I've been watching you motherfuckers and I got a bone to pick with a few of you already."
Right.
I like it comes in and he immediately can scalp somebody. He can immediately come in and be like, "The first thing that I'm doing is I'm benching Tyreek Stevenson for the remainder of the season. He's not going to see the field again." You can say
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit, accountability, accountability. The problem with this coaching staff is they use the word accountability, but they never actually practice it, right? So you get a
Yeah.
guy like that, even to just whip some people into shape for the end of the year.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean,
He got
that's
benched for
that.
he got benched for 2 plays, right? 2 plays?
Yeah,
Everybody got benched for?
Yeah.
two series.
2
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
series.
But once again, the fact that I was actually surprised that they ended up following through and doing it at all. Because once again, like you said, you spoke about
Oh, you're right.
accountability.
They're not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm just saying what
it
they
wasn't
should do.
right. No, exactly. I mean, listen, to me, Rivera's will still feel like a retread, but from a organization standpoint, I guess I see why it makes sense because he's already familiar and been there. I think he also played there too, if I'm not mistaken, back
They
in the
did.
day. So so I get it in that regard. Uh, to me, the guy that you mentioned before him, if you really wanted a culture change, and someone that had won a few times and has been a guy that can coach up guys, then you say, "Hey, Mike Rebel, come on through. Let's get back to running the football like how we used to. That's what Chicago Bears are known for, and then take the pressure off Taylor, but then let him progress that way, and just go from there. I'm sure DeAndre Swift will love him. You know what I'm saying? And then you give him the ball more, and you go from there. But Cole Kmet, I think would love Vrabel as well. 'Cause I think he would get him involved as well.
I don't know if the
Um,
guys that are betting on Caleb's upside are gonna love the Vrabels of the world is the thing. I
yeah,
like
for,
is
for,
there
for
is
sure.
there a
Sure.
guy out there that you say we're going all in on Caleb Williams?
Right, right.
Let's go get.
Mhm.
Well, it would be and Ben Johnson, right? That would be
Would
the
it though?
guy.
Because is quarterback play really the strength of that offense? Like just
That's
based on
true.
recent evidence,
That's
and we'll
true.
talk about that this week's game. Like, Is that a quarterback centric offense that really like utilizes your first overall pick? I mean, is that what they want to do? I don't know. At this point, I'll take anything.
I mean, usually Goff has been at the helm. Now, obviously, when he was in LA, it helped to have that guy Todd Gurley behind him, right? Because Todd Gurley was a monster before he ended retirement early. Like, if you don't remember, just go, YouTube is your friend. Todd Gurley was a pro.
Even Jackson
Um,
2.0.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect combination. Once again, for those that don't know, but that perfect.
They were a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, they were. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got that, and then like I said, now he gets over to Detroit, and you draft Jahmyr Gibbs, the 12th overall last year. You got David Montgomery over there, and yeah, they've become a real good two-headed monster. So I just think that it's like, yeah, they want to run the football, and once again, I'm me, as much as I like to see guys sling it all over the yard, I'm still big on the run sets up the pass, which is why I love Derrick Henry so much. And that's why you see Baltimore killing it. Like, we'll get into that later on, but like that's why. So yeah, I mean, Goff can be the focal point, but as of late, they focused on the run game to set up everything else, and that's okay.
I also just think, I mean, my instincts sort of tell me, I agree that Ben Johnson's been a big shout for a lot of people, and I understand why, of course. I mean, he's putting together the most electric offense in the NFL this year, the most efficient, the highest scoring, whatever metric you want to hit it with, and they're a lot of fun to watch. But I don't know if right now in our wounded state we can afford to take a gamble on a non-established head coach. As much as I do think he would be a good head coach, I want a guy that I've seen be a good head coach already. Vrabel's out there. I've seen him be a good head coach already. Rivera's out there. I've seen him be a good head coach already. And by the way, I would be fucking delighted to get Bill Belichick. And I am not so cynical and jaded to not be happy that the best coach of all time is coaching my team. I
No,
like,
hold on,
you know,
wait, no, hold on. We didn't talk about the coaching. We said
your problem was different. Your problem was different. I'm saying
Yeah.
as from a Bears fan's perspective, I understand how you guys felt. I understand the whole narrative behind that. That's different. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I'm not going to be the dude on the internet calling Bill Belichick washed. I'm going to be like, hell yeah.
Respectfully, there should be no Bears fan that feels anything different. And
Absolutely
you,
true.
that's
Absolutely.
you're delusional.
Yeah.
And once again, you know what? It's funny. Now online this week, I realized I know more of you guys than I realized. I
Yeah.
know more Bears fans than I realized. I was like, oh, I didn't know.
I liked it when you thought I was the only one. I like that better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only one that really matters, So I was like, I'm like, oh, I know. I was like, man, you. But I forgot. I got some homies in Chicago. And I was like, yeah. It was like, man, fuck give the flu. So I was like, okay. Like, so that's consistent.
Yeah.
Everyone's bad
that
at that
guy.
guy, so I get it.
I like
but
that guy.
It's time.
There's been head coaching errors. There's just been head coaching errors.
Mhm.
The absolute optimist in me wants to think like I did watch him apply perfect bend don't break defense as the defensive play caller against a really dynamic Washington Commanders offense that nobody could do that with. And they might be offensively illiterate, but I thought the Steelers were offensively illiterate. And it turned out they were just like missing the right OC. So there is a world where, I mean, he's Mike Tomlin, Matt Eberflus is not, but there is a world where maybe the real OC can come in and utilize the guys that he has, because it's not rocket science to use the guys that he has, because all the offensive weapons have tons of tape of them playing really well. So you just make them do that thing. But he just, like Shane Waldron just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't use Keenan Allen as Keenan Allen. He wouldn't. He was just casting everybody in the wrong roles, and drawing up the wrong plays. So I'm hoping this firing does something. But that concludes both the Bears, my team, and the news section of the podcast. Let's move on to cross-offs. Bobby, we've crossed off the Jags. We've crossed off the Panthers. We've crossed off the Raiders and the Browns, the Titans and the Saints. You guys crossed off the Patriots last week. So disappointed to not be here for that. But of course they go on to beat the Bears. I was going to argue on the show that you guys are about to win a game, but I didn't make the show, so I was unable to do that.
Mhm.
But that's fine. I think the Pats being crossed off is definitely appropriate, but the bit's dead now.
Mhm.
We have not yet crossed off the 2-8 Giants. And I think that their loss to the Carolina Panthers it's woodshed time. Does anybody have anything to like elaborate on comes to the New
No,
York Giants. Okay,
absolutely
wonderful.
not.
Thank
No,
you guys for being
I just don't know how how is Daniel Jones still have a goddamn job? He is the
How does
worst
he have so
quarterback.
much money? How does he have so
Yeah,
much money?
but
it's unbelievable.
that's once again, but this is where, front offices are a real thing. We talk about, oh, like so and so player didn't work and coaches didn't work. It's like we got to go back to looking at who is the brain trust of these organizations,
Yeah.
because when you make the pick of, I think it was Dave Gettleman that made the pick for Daniel Jones back in 2018. And once again, when you draft he was drafted at 6, and he was highly touted because he was working with Eli Manning, he was working with Peyton Manning, he was a friend of the family. So, that automatically got him some more eyes that wouldn't have happened otherwise, right? So he was someone that has some athleticism, someone that could throw the deep ball, when he had time, like most quarterbacks can, but wasn't someone who wowed you on the screen. But because they front offices usually compound their mistakes, right? They don't usually subtract them, they compound them. And they said, okay, he did pretty well in the 2021 season. They won a playoff game. They beat Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So they said, okay, maybe he started to mature. Let's give him 4 years, 160 was whatever, I forget the amount guaranteed. And immediately, I'm not even talking a year later. I'm talking immediately, like as soon as the season started, the man went into regression like right away. So it was almost like, got your ass. Let me just say, I got my 160 million, peace. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, he could have had some promise, but it's just never been that 2018 class quarterback wise was real shaky. It's real
Yeah.
shaky.
Yeah. I feel it maybe they should have known that hanging
Mhm.
out Peyton Manning and Eli Manning's house doesn't quarterback skills aren't gonna rub off on you, but, like, maybe getting paid skills might, because that happened. So, like, they were like, "Hey, here's how you secure your financial future," and he was able to do that for sure. But I agree that, like, that
Because
front office, I mean, they make me feel good about being a Bears fan, for God's sake.
because of Daniel Jones, they can't pay Saquon now. You know what I mean? That's literally the
Oh,
fallout from that is you give all that money to
oh,
Daniel Jones, and now you can't pay Saquon Barkley. And look
I
what
Well,
he's
wish I
doing in
could.
Philadelphia.
I wish I could
well,
have been,
yeah,
"Yo,
what
just
is
so you know, he's gonna do a backwards hurdle this season, and he's
And
gonna do it for the
the best
Philadelphia
the,
Eagles."
wait,
the best
once
part
again,
about it was all documented on Hard Knocks too. The best part.
No.
yes, look, you go back and watch it, right? But that's the thing. And we've done it on this show, and other shows have done it, whether it be locally or nationally. When you continue to devalue what the running back position can be, this is what happens. And yes, can you go and get someone out the 5th round? Absolutely. We're watching a kid at Boise State, and I know, Bobby, you watch college football more than most. That kid from Boise State, Aston Jeanty, that dude is lethal. Lethal. In most seasons, he'd be the highest, but he's probably not going to get it because you got other guys that are killing it at more of the Power 5 schools. But like, that dude is special.
Is that the
But I
guy
think
he stands there like the, like, fucking Undertaker, right? Like, or Michael Myers, and he just, like, stands up straight, and he doesn't get into his position, and then he just fucking kills everybody? I love that guy.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the thing though. It's like we're gonna give back to an era where the running back is the premier position. Once again, we grew up with Barry Sanders, we grew up with Emmitt Smith, we grew up with Eddie George, we grew
I
up
knew you
with
were gonna say Eddie George next.
love Eddie George, love Eddie George. He's our kind of player, you
Sean
know.
Alexander comes
Yeah,
to mind.
yeah, Sean Alexander, Sam Portis, Willis McGahee, like we grew up at a time, where running backs were still a premier position. So it's like to be in this era now was, oh, running backs are a dime a dozen. No, no, they're not. No, they're not. Because there's a lot of teams that don't have a good one. A lot of teams don't. Once again, not to pour salt on the wound, but you know where I'm going. I know y'all would love to have a premier back, right? Exactly. You put it right to the hat, Bobby. Right. Thank you. Right. Y'all would love to have a premier back right now. Let's be honest. So you need one.
There
You
was a
know,
few available too, that's the worst part. There was a
one.
few available out there,
Right.
and
You
it
know what I'm
cost
saying? So like, come on. So we're not looking at y'all possibly being 3-6 with 22. Well, he wouldn't be 22, but even though he if anyone could get
Definitely wouldn't
22,
be 22. But
but he would be number 2 over there. But still, but yeah, it was just like, yeah, come on.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, the Giants are depressing, but hey, there you have it. Let's cross them off. What do you guys say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
See, look,
cross him.
double cross.
I have a
Can't believe
similar. I have a
we got Doris Time on the Giants. That's unbelievable.
Well, we had to eulogize them before the cross off. I mean,
Yeah.
you get a little eulogy. I mean, everyone else we talked about before that had already been crossed off. Actually, on that note, should we cross off the Bears? Should we give them one game to see the new offensive coordinator, or should we just cross them off now?
Well, listen,
Considering their division,
you gave the Pats the mulligan. You guys extra week.
The schedule crosses
Okay,
them
great.
off, bro. I think the
That's
schedule
fair.
crosses them off.
I
Yeah.
think we'll wait. I think we'll wait 1 week. Let's see how they look against the
Yeah,
Vikings. All right.
you gave us a mulligan that wasn't needed. So
Yeah, I mean, there's the only way to go is up. How about
Can we
that other
cross off
team?
the Cowboys?
We'll come to them next. They're next on the list.
Fine.
What about that other team in New Jersey, the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers? Can we cross off Aaron Rodgers? Can we cross him off, or are you worried because Russell Wilson?
The whole team.
They just
It's unbelievable.
they look inept. If they had any kind of semblance of looking like a football team that could come back in any way whatsoever, then we could not cross them off. But no, 31-6 again. Yeah, they're done.
And,
Okay.
And listen, let me because I'm like, once again, I feel like I have to say this because if you go back to the archives on the show, week 1, I was the one saying I thought that they would go into San Francisco and figure it out. I was like, okay, he loves playing out there. He's done well out there, which historically he has. Meaning Aaron Rodgers, and obviously they end up losing that game, and it kind of set the tone for the season. And listen, yes, has he regressed the last few years? Obviously, like that goes without being said. I just thought that coming off the injury, have some type of motivation to be that guy. Obviously, that wasn't the case, and it's been curtains for them really after that New England game early on. Even in week 3, when they beat us, they smacked us in week 3, and they haven't had a signature moment, since then. But I don't know. I just think to me, some franchises, some teams are just, and I know this time I'm defending the Red Sox. Bob was defending the Red Sox. Like there was just whatever could go wrong would. And the fact that they haven't won since 1969, we talked about this before, and they've gone through this drought of just turmoil and having great players come through there. Right? They had some NFL MVPs on their team. So Rumor Sisa was NFL MVP that played for them. Brett Favre, obviously, was a former MVP that played for them. You had Vinny Testaverde, Chad Pennington was one of my personal favorites from our era. You've had many guys come through there, and it just hasn't mattered. It hasn't mattered. Like the fact that Mark Sanchez has the most success of anybody in the last 15 to 20 years in that franchise is fucking insane. It's insane.
Yeah,
It's wild.
he was not a quarterback either. So
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that's crazy to me that he has the most success of anybody. He was this close to a Super Bowl with Mark Sanchez. He was that close to with him.
double
Crazy.
digit win seasons, a couple of them, right? A couple of
Mhm.
double digit win seasons under Mark Sanchez. But weird time for the NFL. But I would also say the New York Jets in general, I think that you were alluding to this, right? Their kind of DNA is fucked up. Like they think that they won that one with Namath, and they've basically been like New York Jets. Like ever since, like they have this kind of fucked up perception of themselves comparatively to like us, like and how we view them, and the rest of the league views them. Aaron Rodgers going there, I think, is an absolute match made in heaven because he suffers from that same personality disorder as that organization. He has this perception of himself that he's this very intelligent, very funny, charming guy, and everything he thinks is correct. And that's not the case. He's a complete douche. And I think probably a little bit of a narcissist, not as smart as he thinks he is, and not as good at football as he used to be. So my eulogizing of the Jets is also a eulogizing of that guy because he also sucks. Bobby, anything more on the Jets before we go to the cross off the Cowboys? Did I lose Bobby?
No, he's there.
No,
The silence is appropriate though.
Harrison
Because
isn't answer there. He says he wants to come.
He's behind.
No, you said he wants to come back next year. I'm not.
I mean,
Bobby,
he does
Bobby,
want
back
to come
out
back.
and come back in. Maybe it's me. Am I behind?
No, I think we're good. We're good. No, you said about him wanting to come back. Like I don't think that he. I mean, obviously, when you're getting the money that he's getting, and you're at your age 41 season, he's about to be 41 in December. Of course, you want to come back at 25, 30 million a year. Who wouldn't? You'd be dumb not to. At the same time, if I'm Woody Johnson or Mike Tannenbaum, whoever is up in their front office in New York, I would say, hey, this was a failed experiment. We thought that it would be, X, Y, and Z under your leadership here, but the marriage wasn't what we thought it was. So it's time for us to part ways. And once again, they've given up on so many quarterbacks there, and they have not developed anybody at that position. So it's wild. So I mean, once again, I'm not hurt at all that it's happening to them because, like I said, I think about my boy Julius who talks real crazy when the Patriots are doing bad. I'm like, bro, y'all suck forever. Once again, y'all have had a few seasons where y'all were nice, and yes, you came into New England in 2010 and beat us in the division around, great. And you got that famous Bark Scott press conference where you say, "Can't wait, get it, I got that." Well, I can't wait for y'all to actually be good again. So,
No.
uh, so yeah.
Bob, talk to me about the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's time we cross them off. I'm surprised they made it an extra week. The absolute circus that was on show at quarterback, it almost made me think, wow, Dak Prescott was actually overachieving with this team, it looks like. Tell me what your emotional state was over the course of the game against the Eagles. First half, you were hanging in.
Uh, yeah, we hung in there. Turnovers obviously isn't going to get done. The one thing that drives it so insane is the fact that we still do the here we go thing with Cooper Rush. I think Mike McCarthy at this point he's got to be on the Eberflus category of what the hell are we doing at this point? I
They're
just
so
don't
similar.
understand why.
The fact that we both held on to those coaches in the offseason is so crazy already. It's such a similar situation. You're just like, he already shouldn't have had a job.
Yeah, and it's just not getting any better from here. It's obviously going downhill. It's time to cross them off. It's it's time to put me out of my misery. The Cowboys are not going anywhere from here. That's a fact. I just understand what they were thinking in the offseason, where I come from. We knew what the problem was. Everyone knew what the problem was. We needed running backs and we needed offensive line help, and they did nothing. They did literally nothing the entire offseason, and it's so evident now that that's the problem. And then you stack that up with a defense that's just underachieving like crazy. You replace Dan Quinn with Mike Zimmer, who might be one of the most underachieving head coaches in the last 10, 15 years. So,
But answer this for me as well, Bob, because I thought about this while you were speaking. So obviously what Jason Garrett became coach in 2010? Am I right? 2010, 2011, around that time?
all right.
Yeah. So I feel like from now to then, like Jerry Jones' philosophy has changed because I feel like coaches before then had a short leash. So like what happened? Because the fact that, Wade Phillips had a short leash. I think Dave Campbell back in the day had a short leash. It's a casual name drop for some people that remember Dave Campbell. Dave Campbell was a short leash. Parcells was a short leash. Barry Switzer, you name it. So it's just like guys that actually were proven in this league got short leashes and guys here that weren't as proven.
I don't mean to answer on your behalf, Bobby, but my guess would be it was everybody that came after Jimmy Johnson because of how that ended. Anybody,
Yeah,
and I think that was
found
the
his
big
yes
reaction.
man.
Like anytime if you were in the wake of Jimmy Johnson, if you were in the wake of Jimmy Johnson being there, if Jerry was still pissed, right? Like I think that's about as long as he was pissed for. And then I think he stopped giving a shit. That's, I think, essentially what the course of life was, because you're right. The most memorable one you just mentioned right there was when Bill Parcells was there. And it's like, dude, Jerry, let him cook, bro. Like, it's fucking Bill Parcells. Let him cook. He knows what he's doing. And he would have these moments, remember? Where you would be like, okay, like, yeah, we know how this guy won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Like, he can do a lot with a little, like he has a football mind. And then he would just get yanked back all the time or not give him that last piece that he needed. And I think it's that thing. I just think Jerry Jones is a vindictive piece of shit. And I think he's an egotist. I think it's all reflective of his moods at the time. Right, Bob?
And he just, when it comes to the head coaches, dude, I feel like he just found his yes man. And he's not going to hire anyone that's going to come in there and be the yes man that he wants. And as soon as he found that he's going to hang on to him, Garrett's the number one evidence of that. He hung on to him for so goddamn long. It was unbelievable.
Right,
Looks
'cause
like
I
he's
know he
holding
was
on to
there
the
for
Vikings a
he
lot.
was there for 8 seasons. I'm like, you had what 4, 5, 8 and 8 seasons? And I'm just like, and that's not the symbol of mediocrity then what is. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, 'cause it's the same thing up here, with Kraft to an extent. It's like, bro, like and I get that you don't like change, but it's just like if things are not working, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And the fact that Jerry Jones, all the older owners, right? Some of these new owners are little more,
It's
new
all
to
three of our teams, though. We're all doing the same fucking thing. We have an
oh
obvious problem and we're not addressing it. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. A few teams have been put on the cross-off section, taken from the honorable mentions because as I was looking at records and thinking about the games that got us to those records over this last week, especially, a lot of teams really solidified that they might be in the cross-off conversation. If we don't end up crossing any of these teams off, I would understand. But I want to talk about them in this context because the Broncos, I know they almost beat the Chiefs, but now they're 5-5. I know they're playing better. I know that Bo Nix has had his fair share of decent moments. But do we think that they're gonna be a playoff team realistically? Are we all sitting here thinking that we're gonna see the Broncos play meaningful football in the postseason? If anyone can tell me that, that's why they're constantly flirting with the cross-offs, you know?
So could they sneak in and be like a 7 seed? Sure, they could. They could.
As of right now, they are the
Yeah,
7 seed.
absolutely, absolutely, they could be a 7 seed. Do I think that ultimately happens? No, but once again, we're speaking about right now. That's what the show is about, the right now moment. Yeah, they're in it still, and I cannot believe they're 5-5 with Bo Nix. I can't believe it. Like I am blown away. He's looked like a serviceable quarterback at times, and he's Bo Nix for the most part has not been a reason why they've lost games, and I thought for sure he'd be the reason why they lose majority of their games. So he played decent enough to be, the starter there in Denver, and he's done well. They run the ball okay for what I see, and then when things are right, they're playing good defense. But it's hard, right? Because when you once again you're playing 15 in that division, you're always going to be second to them, obviously. It's just a matter of can you keep it close, which they did Sunday, but ultimately they still choked in the winning moments. But like I say, as of now, they're a team that could be on the fringe or on the right there, that 7-8 spot.
I guess. I
I
mean, to
just think
me to me, it's just the teams trying to catch him, and we're going to come on to this a little bit later, but it's like, if you look at the Bengals and you look at the Dolphins, I feel like they're both trending in the right direction. I know the Dolphins have lost a lot of games, but they win 2 games. They win 3 games and they're 500 and they've got their quarterback back and they have amazing skilled players and their next 2 games are easy. I could just see them starting to build up more wins in the AFC. I can see the Bengals winning 6 more games. I mean, it's to me, it's just as it starts to flesh out. Like right now, they're 5-5. NFL.com gives them a 31% chance to make the playoffs if they lose their next game, but a 61% chance to make the playoffs if they win their next game. So in true power rankings fashion, Bobby, I guess we'll know a lot next week. I guess we'll know a lot then. This seems to be the biggest week if that's the big swing of their probability, then I feel like this is the biggest week of their season.
and it's against the Falcons too, so I think they have a good shot. I just feel like Bo
Rockets
Nix,
are falling.
if and Bo Nix, in fact, he shows me something every week against the Chiefs. He had a couple throws, man. That he looks like he could be a real NFL quarterback when it comes down to it, because the Chiefs are a real defense. You know what I mean? That's a real defense that he made some good throws against. So
Yeah. Yeah, he looked good. I'm not taking anything away from him. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we obviously haven't crossed them off, but they are flirting with the bottom. The Colts, I don't know, man. I don't know. They're flirting even harder. I mean, now we're playing the quarterback game. It didn't work out for Flacco the same way that it worked out in Cleveland. That flash in the pan is gone. And now we're back to Richardson, who did not look good. He looked diabolically bad at times, in fact. So but they beat the Steelers. They beat the Bears when I still thought the Bears were good. I mean, they beat them at a time where it was like the stock was higher at the very least. Now all of a sudden they're flirting with disaster. Do you see them? If I had to bet which way they were going, Ray, I'd say they're probably going to get crossed off, not in the power rankings.
Yeah, no, I lean to them starting to dive because and once again we talked about the locker room thing, right? When we talked about Chicago, even New England, and then obviously, with Dallas to an extent too. And there's still something to be said about, you know, what the narrative looks like in that locker room. I'm pretty sure there's still guys in there that say he quit on us when we needed him most. I
Yeah,
can't respect him. So
yeah,
because of that, yeah, they may go out there and do their job because it's their job and it's football, but they may not run the routes the same. They may not block the same. And some of them may not even coach the same. So, you know, who knows? Maybe he's had restorative conversations behind the scenes that, you know, had people forgiven him. Because once again, forgiveness is for you, not for the other person. So yeah, listen, as a Gator fan, I'm biased. I hope that he comes back, bounces back. Once again, he does have New England the following week, I believe. So there's a chance for him to have a good right game in that regard. Um, I feel like New England's gonna play hard, but they still may make mistakes to lose. So yeah, they may figure it out, but like I said, but it won't be to the point where I feel better about Denver trending up than I do about Indianapolis trending up right now.
yeah,
Unless Anthony Richardson figures it out. Which once again, I would love to see that because
yeah. I
he
don't
would
see
be
it.
he
Well,
would he would be fun to watch if we figured it out. But it's just you just got to get there. So hopefully it was a lesson learned.
Steichen doesn't drive home much confidence with me right now. Steichen doesn't drive home much confidence with me right now either, I gotta say.
Yeah,
If you're switching quarterbacks at this point, you know what I mean? If you keep going back and forth like this, it just gets ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feel kind of bad for the Colts. It's just kind of sad over there. It's just like bad vibes. The 4-5 Rams, they're dropping into the crosshairs conversation because as much as they don't have an anemic offense by any stretch, like at this point with their skill guys back, Cooper Cup might not be exactly the same guy anymore, but Puka looks all right. Stafford looks like he's a little older, but he's got a lot of grit. He's still fun to watch play quarterback, but their schedule doesn't make for nice reading from the Rams perspective. They still got to play the 49ers. They still play the Bills. Like they've got some tough games coming up. So I think they're going to probably flirt with this cross-off section for a little bit because they already have a losing record, which I understand was due to injury. And I understand that they have a great coach. I really do respect Sean McVay and the way he runs his offense, especially. But I don't know. It doesn't look good for them, guys. I think they're downtrending. I think they're closer to getting crossed off in the next few weeks than they are getting back into the honorable mention section. So I don't know. Just keep your eye on that. Seahawks, I think, also trending down. They had a bye, so there's not much more to talk about from last week, but they're gonna play the 49ers next. And if they lose to them, I think we have to have a conversation about crossing them off. They're the 10th seed now. They're under the Bears in seeding in the NFC, so they're not looking too healthy. The Bengals, I mean, they played the Ravens. They played them. There was a game the whole time. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was a real cool QB battle. But I would also say the Ravens, if they have one weakness, it's probably their deep passing defense. It might have been a little bit of a matchup thing. And man, I mean that Bengals defense really looks like it could be made into Swiss cheese at any time by like some sort of decent play. So they're 4-6 guys. I know that they look great out there. I know Jamar Chase is going absolutely insane. Setting fantasy point records or whatever. But
Mhm.
I think I don't know. We gotta say they're 4-6 and they're in this section. We're not crossing them off yet, but they've dropped from the honorable mentions. I think it's only fair.
Yeah, but for now,
We'll see. It could go either way. Could go either way. That's why we don't put the bullet in them either.
oh, I had to say this. Go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
If there's a team that can get uncrossed off, it's the Bengals. Joe Burrow's having a career year at this point. He's literally having the best year of his career, and they're 4-6. Why am I so
Yeah,
behind? I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, you're just delayed. Just jump
yeah,
out and jump back in.
but it's but speaking of being behind, that's what Cincinnati has been really most of the year.
Nice.
It started with
You have formal radio training, Ray?
a little bit. It goes back to that week 1 loss against New England, obviously. And listen, people were already waving the white flag saying, "Oh, like they don't have it anymore," and Chase is not the same, Higgins is not the same. I'm like, look, man, the last 3 or 4 years they've been in the AFC Championship game or they've been in Super Bowl. Hey, let's not get out of here. Let's not get delusional with our takes. Burrow and Chase are still a top 3 duo in this league. So just because
Yeah.
they haven't won the big one doesn't mean that they're not an elite duo.
Oh yeah.
Well,
No, but
showing no, but
see, that's
that narrative started to come out there a
that's
little
that
bit.
part, though. I
Say
mean, they have
something.
they it's not they're not the problem. I think that their offense can work for them at any given time over the course of the season. I think my main issue with them is they can't fucking stop people from scoring or moving the ball on them at all. Like that's just an issue. And also these slow starts, it's now sort of it's become a pattern. And that's a problem that they definitely have to address. That there's just a lot of flaws in that team. And they also still have not gotten Joe Burrow an offensive line. So it's
Right.
like, where's my tax money going in Cincinnati? The defense can't fuck. Is it all going to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? Is all the money going to those two
Well, they
guys?
haven't paid him. They hadn't paid
That's
him
the
yet.
thing. Like, how is that roster set up? It's confusing to me because they don't seem to have they seem to have these gaping holes and the same gaping holes that they've had since they played the Rams in the fucking Super Bowl. And I understand the Rams had an all-time D line at that point, featuring some of the best players to ever play their positions in
Mhm.
that D line, right? I get that, but it was really compounded by how bad the Bengals' offensive line was, and they haven't seemed to get any better. Joe Burrow's under pressure throwing numbers are crazy. Like they're crazy the way he's able to produce under pressure compared to other quarterbacks, and also the amount of time he's under pressure when he's playing. So it annoys you when you're watching it a little bit, doesn't it? Because you're like, dude, I mean, these guys put up numbers. If you could just protect your quarterback and not hemorrhage points on the other side, like we're not even asking you to keep them under 21, keep them under fucking 30,
Right.
right? And we'll still win because of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
that's the issue.
listen, they're going to score.
Yeah.
That's under it. And the people was like, people were questioning
They
that
also
call.
let Mixon go. So it's like,
Oh,
where is
yeah,
this money
I don't
going?
know. Once again, go back to the running back conversation. Oh, we can find somebody else. No, he was working for y'all offense. Sorry. And once again, this is not the first time they let go of a great running back or a good running back to go to another team. I know very well about them letting go of a great guy, Corey Dillon, and came right up the way to Route One and went ballistic up here. So hey, Cincinnati, we we thank you. We thank you for letting go of that guy years ago and helping us win the third ring at that time. But yeah, man, like I don't know. I just think to me, um, defense has been a flaw of theirs, even when they went to the Super Bowl. But I know they lost Jesse Bates, right? I'm trying to think who else on that defense that was big time for them today. That's not there. Oh, I think Trey Hendrickson was lost too. He got hurt. He might be still there. I'm not sure, but like those are guys that were two staples of the defense. And once again, when guys don't play the same, guys act a little different once they get to the Super Bowl too. Like they won it and they didn't. And it's just like, hey, the same hunger that you had when you got there, and y'all was hype about saying this was called y'all was calling it Burrow, prematurely. Get your mind right because once again, you're talented, but it's like at the same time, these slow starts are killing their momentum on a regular basis. So, but there's still time. But like you said, there's any team that can turn it around and go on a run, it'll be them.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely keep an eye on this space. Okay. Into the honorable mention section, much shorter because a lot of people have dropped into crossoffs. But let's talk about the Chargers for a quick second. Nothing sexy. Harbaugh's not doing anything sexy. He's not doing anything crazy down there. He's just playing good defense and playing to the strength of his quarterback and coaching his way through games in a proper way. Would have loved to have him in Chicago. Would have loved the native son to return home to us, but because we needed a level of practicality that Harbaugh brings. I think he's getting a lot out of Herbert. I think he's utilizing him really well, and they're a very promising 6-3. They're flirting with the power rankings at this point. They could do what I like to call the curse of the number 10 spot. Any team Bobby seems to put in the number 10 this year immediately goes to shit right afterwards. It seems to have just happens to the Falcons last week. It happened to the Bears. It's a fully
Bro,
customized game. So
my Tampa Bay Bucks too,
the
man.
Bucks, it happened to the Bucks. Bobby's been able to fully cast hexes on teams by just putting them as the Niners. Man, they've already had some bad luck. Their spoiler alert, they're number 10 on the power rankings this week, and I don't know if they can take that hit. I don't know if they can get Madden cursed by Bobby's power rankings. But anyway, The Chargers, the Bucks are also on our list. The Packers are on our honorable mentions list. The Dolphins, the Falcons, and the Texans. Any big talking points jumping out to you on any of those teams, guys? I think we could talk a little bit about. You guys want to talk about Tua Lower and his fucking helmet in that Dolphins game? Because we just can't help that child. We cannot help that child. It's not going to happen. He's just do what he's going to do, right?
Yeah, I need to be careful what I'm going to say next because I want to make sure that it's not out of pocket. So I'm gonna I'm gonna try to be PC as possible. But it's like, bro, at this moment, you're looking for your career to end, and that's the nicest way I could say it without saying anything disrespectful. I get that you want to play the game you love. I'm not knocking you for that. But if you have to be out there with that damn Guardian helmet, wear that shit, bro. Like I don't understand why you've been so prone to that particular injury. This is not a hand thing. This is not a strained hamstring or a quad. This is your brain. And I don't get the reckless endangerment with his brain at this moment. And once again, maybe the concussions are leading to these decisions where he just kind of doesn't care at this moment in that regard, or doesn't have the level of fear that he should. And once again, you can't be super fearful playing that position anyways, because if that's the case, it's all mental, literally mental. So if you don't have that, then you're gonna lose it altogether. So I don't know, but yeah, they, like you said, you said a few moments ago that they could potentially go on a run, but I don't trust that he stays healthy in order for them to go on a run. And it's unfortunate to say, but it's just a reality.
I mean, I understand why you think that. What do you think of my theory, Bobby, of removing the word concussion from everybody's vocabulary and just listing it officially on the injury report as a brain injury? Just say brain injury every time it's a concussion. And then people will start to understand why it's important to protect your brain, right? Because it's just the nomenclature is like a little off. Like, you remember when everyone was like, defund the police? We should have just come up with like a slightly better slogan. Marketing's half the fucking battle, because like people were like, that doesn't seem like a good idea. And then they would start to try to explain. And it's like, nah, you've already lost them. You got to hook them in the first second, right? And I just think, just call it a brain injury. And then maybe everyone would be like, no, dude, you're not going out there. Did you see the injury report? Your brain's injured. No, Bobby's still so behind.
Yeah,
Hear him at all.
especially when it
Oh,
comes
there he
to
is.
am I still behind? Is it still doing
Yeah,
it?
you're so behind. You might want to restart your computer. Ray, same question. Brain injury? Better marketing?
I mean, I'm fine with it. Once again, I just think they need to be as much upfront about those injuries as possible. I think that I think for legal purposes and financial purposes, they try to cover up that stuff to an extent. But I
The
think that
NFL, you mean?
yeah, the NFL, yeah, certainly, yeah. So to me, the more upfront you are with the public, the more people can respect it. Once again, they may not like it, but they can respect it. And it's a shame because it's just like, it's happening more and more by the week that people are in protocol. It's wild. But at the same time, it's like, it's just a part of the game. But yeah, I'd be totally fine with them just changing it to that and just continuing to make the game safer. Once again, yes, it's the most balanced sport out here. We get it outside of hockey because once again, when guys that big on skates, it's crazy. But it's just like, I don't know. I just think to me, they need to find a way to keep it as safe as possible. But yeah, I don't, that to me, that's not a big fix or a big ask to change it to concussion to brain injury. So we know what it is. We know what it is
Yeah.
as soon as the hit
Yeah.
happens.
Call
So-
it what it is, man. All right. Well, you had already said about the Texans, it just sort of looks like, I know there's no shame in losing to the Lions, but there's just parts of that CJ Stroud performance every week this week where you're just like, oh shit. I think he'll be fine, but
Yeah.
it's just like a little bit of a sophomore slump. And for the coaching as well, I just think he's sort of like, there's just a little bit more tape on them now, and it's a matter of like, are they going to evolve? Are they going to evolve in the offseason? Because it's okay if they have a middling year this year.
Well,
It'll be below expectations, but it'll be okay. They still have a lot of great young players.
But it started to happen really in the New England game, right? It got glossed over because they beat us by 20 because we just couldn't get out of our own way. But, although Drake May had 3 touchdowns that game, but he had 2 picks. And that's really what led to them scoring so quickly. CJ Stroud was not that good that game. And from that game to now, he's been subpar. Once
He
again,
wasn't that good against the Bears either.
yeah, so it was like, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. So, and once again, do I think he fixed it out? Sure. But, and just to be fair, and once again, I don't think this is the case. So I know there's going to be some listen to this that get emotional when they hear this, but just hear me out. Ohio State has been the same as USC when it comes to quarterbacks. They just don't produce them. So once again, we might have seen a great ricochet of CJ Stroud. It's possible that he may regress to the means because you cannot tell me an Ohio State quarterback that's been successful for a long
Oh
time.
my God, you heard it here first. CJ Stroud is a flash in the pan.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like, hey, and once again, that could be viewed as a hot take. I'm not saying he's going to regress, but I'm saying it is possible because once again, things happen really quickly in this league. Once again, we see someone like Deshaun Watson who was taking the lead by storm, and just like that, he turned it into a pumpkin, literally. So it is possible. So I don't want to make it seem like it's not.
It's happened before. We've seen
It's
it
happened
before.
before. So I'm just saying, once again, for those that are Ohio State fans, I know quite a few of y'all as well. You cannot tell me a quarterback that y'all have had that has killed it in the league. Once again, y'all had the Heisman quarterback and Troy Smith, who went in the 5th round, I think, to the Ravens. He did nothing in the league. I'm trying to think some other guys off the top of my head that went out there, but I'm like, I think about the quarterback they had when they beat Miami in the national championship game. He didn't do anything in the league. So they have, JT Barrett, Cardell Jones, you name it. Like they have a long list of guys that have gotten to the league or, had a chance to get to the league, but, didn't produce well. So it's possible. So between them and USC, those are 2 schools that I normally
Come on. Don't kick me while I'm down, dude. Jesus. Fine.
Normally.
Typically, you never. All right, let's start fucking picking apart these power rankings here. The Niners are in the cursed slot of number 10. No, I don't think anyone's gone from 10 to 9. I think it's 10 to gone every week. So, and then just, down into catastrophe lane. But more interestingly, since the Niners are very dysfunctional right now, I actually really do think this curse will continue. But I'm more interested in talking about number 9 on the list, the sneaky good Arizona Cardinals. Is sneaky good fair? Is that a fair thing to say about them? That's 2 good wins in a row.
I don't know about sneaky good. I think that they're starting to get healthy at the right time. That's the only reason why they were this bad. It wasn't like they lied.
A lot of people don't trust Kyler though, right? And I've been saying about
no,
that.
right, but I'm like, come on, come on. Wait, you take him, I take him, Bobby would take him as a coach. But it's like let's be honest. For the last 5, once again, he okay. I'll just say this because I'm sure it's been said, but whatever, I'll say it on here. He has become a new Andy Reid. That's exactly what Kyle Shanahan is. He's the new Andy Reid. Once again, we glossed over what happened now recently with Andy Reid, and he's been paired with Mahomes, and they're the greatest quarterback coach combo of all time. Well, children, kids,
Yeah,
that are
Andy Reid's slander everywhere before there.
Once again, when he was in Philly, he had a hell of a team in Philly. They went to not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 NFC championship games. And they had a Super Bowl appearance. They lost to our, beloved Patriots up here. So he is Andy Reid of this generation. And that's okay because a lot of franchises would kill to be in that predicament where you're knocking at the door. Once again, of course you want to win. Of course you want to feud to your belt as an organization. Duh. But at the same time, it's like, hey, how many teams can say, hey, we're a contender and the NFC has gone through us. It's like you literally have to beat us or we're beating you to get to this championship game. Like it's that simple. And the only thing that's stopping them usually is injuries. That's the only reason why they've lost at times because of injuries. You think about Greenlaw last year, they got hurt literally on the sideline, which is I'm like, that was insane. I was like, yeah, they're cursed at this moment. Like literally every key player they've had has gone down to some point. And yes, injuries are a part of the game. but it's like, damn, it's like, what is going on? So,
Yeah,
that-
well, I think what's going on is that they've gotten in a lot of injury-prone players. There's a lot of guys on
yeah,
that roster that were injury-prone before they went and got it. And I think there has to be a consideration for that, at least a little bit. When you put
mhm,
a lot of them on the same team, they're all going to start getting fucking hurt around the same time. You're going to have an injury crisis. Also, I mean, I might even go so far as to say, like, what's up with the staff there? Are they good? Are you 100% sure you have the best staff money can buy if you're going to do that as
or
far
you
as
like
if
what
the physio room goes, as far as the sports science and medicine goes, like you guys, if you're gonna bring all these players in, you better have German fucking surgeons on
right,
speed dial, right? Like,
right,
so I'm just saying, there's definitely some questions to be asked of like that setting that up in that way, right?
right.
But anyway, Bobby, are you back? Oh, maybe.
I don't know. Am I?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
pretty quick. You responded pretty quickly there.
All
Perfect.
right.
That's good because I got a bone to pick with you coming up in the power ranking. Cardinals, they might be good. Vikings, barely beating the Jaguars seems to be a trend in the NFC North. They need to be more convincing. They need to play the Titans next week, and they need to be more convincing in that win, right? I'm still pretty confident that my take about a Sam Darnold-led Vikings team is going nowhere, and that they're pretenders and not.
Looking, it's looking more and more true every week too. Every week, it's looking more and more true.
I mean, the Vikings are always like that, aren't they? Kirk Cousins, they were like that too. Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. It's just their identity.
That's 7-2 with Sam Darnold was crazy though.
It is. It's a
This
wild
is one.
accomplishment.
I once again when me and you had our tongue to speak about this back in the earlier season, we were laughing about this, and he was like, "Ray, you out of your mind?" Like listen, secretly, I didn't believe that he would be this fuck. Well, I was like, I was just like, I was like fucking with my guy, but I'm like 7-2. Like this is beyond my dreams. There's no way. I'm like, okay, so I'd like 5-4, 4-5. Okay, that'd have been more understandable reason, but I'm like 7-2. I'm like in this economy, this raw like it's
Yeah.
unbelievable to me. So
Who gave you permission to be 7-2? The fuck?
yeah, I mean, listen, but what I did say, and we agreed on it, is like, yo, when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson,
He's beast.
the dude is next level,
He's starting to make Sam Darnold look good.
right? Exactly. So it's just like that. That's the thing. So I'm here for it. And like I said, I love Justin Jefferson. I'll like Aaron Jones. I know that's he's I know he's probably still green and gold to you, but he's over there in Minnesota now. But he's a good player, and yeah, they're doing what they what they can. Like I said, I'm shocked that they're 7-2, honestly. But to say though, obviously we're gonna go through this whole list. Obviously, and we got up to 7. This is one of my more favorite lists that Bobby's put together in the season. Like this is one of the stronger ones. Because this is the one we look at. Like, there's not too many ones you look at and be like, you're more like, yeah.
I have an issue with 4 and 5.
Say it again.
I have an issue with 4 and 5.
Oh, of course. Of course you do. What am I? We'll get into it. Stay
I
tuned.
think I could make the case, but we'll get to that
Stay
a little bit later.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
One thing I want to address though, and I think this is fair enough since we're moving chronologically up the list. Let's talk about the Eagles and Commanders in context of each other because they're playing each other next. And that is another, the Commanders are going back to back with heavyweight teams that are featured on this list. And their loss to the Steelers, that was a tough loss. I mean, that to me was a loss against a team that was 2 really good teams going up against each other. And the team that winning being the team that knows how to do it more. The Steelers are just kind of the big brother of that matchup in that situation, right? And everybody there just like knows how to win a game. They're put into a situation where they fumble on the 1-yard line, which I feel like kills you, right? Like that's just going to kill you every time that happens. That's really hard to recover from. They recover. The Commanders, I don't think that they can be beaten too badly for losing. So in the context of the Commanders, them going to play the Eagles are also rolling. I'm really liking the Commanders to bounce back against the Eagles and win that game. And I'm curious if you guys agree, disagree. Nick Sirianni's still coaching the Eagles, don't forget.
Yeah.
So I kind of see this as exactly what you said the Steelers were to the Commanders, where the Eagles are kind of the Commanders' big brother at this point. So I want to see the Commanders go in there and actually beat the Eagles before I rank them ahead of them again.
That's
After
fair.
seeing them lose to the Steelers like that, I want to see that.
Like what? It was a proud loss.
That's a little slick, Bobby. That's a little slick.
Why?
Well, I agree with the premise, but it's not this is not about the big brother. This is about fuck Philadelphia and can Washington come in there and smoke Philly because Philly is the most hated team in that division, not Washington and not the Giants. It's Philadelphia. So that's the real reason. Can they go in there and smoke Philly is what you're looking for. You're hoping that Washington comes in there and beats the brakes off Philly. I get it though. I get it. I don't think
I
it's
hope so. I hope so.
no, really. Yeah. Right. So I don't know if that happens, but we'll see. I mean, once again, I'm on the Jaden Daniels bandwagon. He was someone that I thought if he ended up falling to us, I'd have been perfectly fine with him falling here to New England. So I'm glad that he's found some stability in Washington. I hope that Josh Harris and the rest of that branch just up there actually lets them grow together out there with Scary Terry and some other guys, Austin Eckler. Let them grow because they clearly have something going down there. So yeah, but them boys is out there. And once again, if it wasn't for lack of discipline, they might be 8-1 or 8-1. So it's crazy.
I mean, the Eagles have been definitively bad for periods in games, right? And they've been in the past 2 games, just springing to mind.
Even against the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad in the first half against the Cowboys. And then the week prior, they were bad in the second half and almost let whoever it was, not a good team, back into the game. Right. So they've been bad at times. And Washington does look like a team that can punish mistakes and punish lapses in coaching and lapses in concentration. And we saw that against the Bears. They were still trying on that Hail Mary to catch the ball. And they still got a guy back there. They still capitalized on a dumb coaching error. You know what I mean? And Nick Sirianni, he'll give you one of those, 1 or 2 of those a game. So let's see. Hopefully they can exploit that. Yeah, let's talk about 4 and 5 here. The Ravens have lost 1 more game than the Steelers. I just want to point that out. Secondly, the Ravens look like the Ravens. But if we can agree on the premise that Russell looks closer than he did to closer what he did in Seattle than he does in Denver. And Ray pointed out on the last show I was on with him, stat line's not even that bad in Denver. I'm looking at a 4 or 5 on the power rankings where we have 1 team led by a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl and been to one, and 1 team led by a quarterback who goes to shit in postseason every year. Now that's just the facts, right? That's just
you've been a supporter for Lamar.
Yeah, that seems like
I mean, I get it. It seems the argument, but damn.
No, we were both standing in the rain, right? And somebody invaded the scene, and I turned heel in that moment, and I hit him with a
I
chain.
see.
Because now they're neck and neck with the Steelers, and I got to take a stand. I don't like being an on the fence guy here, and I've really been enjoying. I got Lamar on my team, my fantasy team. I've really been enjoying watching the Ravens play, as you guys know. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a better football team. I don't think that they have the flaws on defense even close than the Ravens have. Yes, are the Ravens probably better offensively? Of course. But I think as a package, if we're looking at which team you think has a better chance of beating the Kansas City Chiefs when they see them in the AFC Championship game, I know who we're all picking right now in that context. And all of us are saying it's the Steelers right now. Surely.
It's so football in general is better, when Baltimore and Pittsburgh are both doing well.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
One of the best rivalries the league has ever seen. It's always a bloodbath, like literally.
They beat each other up all year.
Well, all year. So right, like it would be a problem in the preseason. Like that's how.
Oh yeah.
Intense those games are, right? So totally get that. Yeah, I mean, once again, if we're talking about when it comes to coaching, that obviously both coaches have won a Super Bowl, so I mean that's essentially a wash. But if you, like I said, the edge is defensively, so would he go to Pittsburgh right now? I just know that number 8 is still playing at an MVP level, and people have.
He's playing great.
Unbelievable how I'm like and once again, it's happening more so because of who he has behind him. Derrick Henry is taking the immense amount of pressure off of him in certain games, but for him to still throw for 290, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, he's still he's starting to look like Jokic right now. You're just like, what the fuck is going on? It's like every week he's giving us something that we're like, I can't believe that he's reaching new heights still, because there's still people that believe that he should have been a running back, but he's proven every week that he's that guy.
This argument will be solved this week, by the way.
Yeah, I would love to see him get over the hump, but let's say you're not wrong, Dave. I think, like I said, in this regard, we see Pittsburgh handle business, but the number 8 might have something to say about that at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that the Steelers at the same time have made signings that have made immediate impacts this year across the defensive side of the ball. But also, I mean, just bringing in Mike Williams at the deadline was so smart because Aaron Rodgers is talking shit about him like he's not a good wide receiver, like he doesn't know where to be, and then he catches a game winner right in fucking Aaron Rodgers' face, And I just think like the vibes are right in Pittsburgh at the moment. Essentially, I mean, I know that might sound oversimplified, but it does suck that Highsmith's hurt. He's not going to officially not going to play against Baltimore, which sucks because I mean that edge rushing pair is pretty crazy to have both of those guys. I mean, Highsmith would be the best edge rusher on a lot of other teams. So I'm really interested in the matchup. I mean, overall, I really just want to see the game. You know what I mean? It's good that they're next to each other on the power rankings because it's just perfect timing coming into this because we'll see like if the Steelers do 2 weeks in a row, chop the head off the team placed above them in the power rankings and then climb on their carcass up to the next level. And then they do that again to the Baltimore Ravens to crack the top 4. I mean, that would be a pretty impressive feat across the Pittsburgh Steelers season. And I honestly just think Mike Tomlin in the postseason with this team and Russell Wilson in the postseason with this team, sky's the fucking limit, a lot of
raises their
tier. Yeah.
Raises their tier instantly. If they beat the Ravens, they instantly move up probably above the Bills that are right behind the Lions.
I was gonna say, I mean, I actually might make that pitch. They're still a team that had a couple of bad losses back to back. But a lot of that was when they're transitioning the quarterback or they're about to. So, we'll see. All right. Well, finally, we're probably going to play this little game here because it seems to no, it doesn't work. 3-8.
3 AFC, 1 NFC. Yeah, so.
But let's go 5 then, and I'll just ask of the Bills, Ravens, and Steelers, who would you right now bet money on to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game? Who would you want playing for your life against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game between the Bills, the Ravens, and the Steelers?
Because of Derrick Henry, I think I would take the Ravens. If they didn't have Derrick Henry, it would be the Steelers because of that defense. It really would. It would be a great defensive battle. But because of Derrick Henry, I feel like it's the Ravens. He gives them such an element to that offense that they didn't have last year that I just feel like it gives them such a different element. So I would have to go with the Ravens.
Ray?
You're tugging at the heartstrings here, man. I got to go with Pittsburgh, and that makes me sick. Boom. I mean, let's get we know the New England thing, but I'm like, once again, I have to be objective and not. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I just it's I'm fumbling over my words. I can't remember it came out of my mouth, but I have to be honest and give credit where it's due. I think Pittsburgh will give them a run for their money. Once again, I've always liked Najee Harris. I like Pickens. Obviously, getting that addition of Mike Williams will be huge. I think for them eventually. He already paid off in that game against Washington.
They got a great tight end tandem in Freiermuth in Washington too, where Freiermuth is like that kind of vertical.
Yeah, I like Washington coming out of Georgia.
Washington is huge. Yeah,
and huge. I was gonna say they have this absolute fucking unit on the other side who can absolutely just like bust through anything he wants.
So I'm here. So yeah, I would say that once again.
Jalen Warren's underrated too.
Really, if we're being, it should be Buffalo. It should be because we've seen Josh Allen literally.
I mean, Josh Allen's having a career year. It's fair,
right? It should be Buffalo, but I'm once again Buffalo Bills are the Chicago Cubs of the NFL. It's just like I don't trust them. I don't trust them when it matters. Whatever can go wrong for them in the playoffs too will go wrong.
I know.
Once again, Bobby made a valid point about Derrick Henry. Once again, I love Derrick Henry. I think that he's obviously by far the best running back in the league at age 30, which is insane, but it is what it is. So yeah, he does give them a shot. But like I said, just from coaching, the defense, and then like I said, just Russ up to 3 he's been there. He's a dumb play away from being a 2-time champion. So I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with them. So
on the flip side of those 4 teams, but when face the Lions, I feel bad for whoever comes out of the NFC, and it's probably going to be the Lions. And I feel bad for the Lions because whoever comes out of the AFC is going to be a stone cold killer. They're going to have a fucking carcass in between their teeth. Like it's going to there's going to be so many good games in the AFC side of the playoffs. There'll be good games in the NFC side too, but there's so many good teams in the AFC right now, and I just feel like they're all going to they're going to have to kill each other on the way to the top. So by the time they get there, you're facing somebody who's
even from the wild card on, right? Because we're talking about, we just talked about, a team like Miami rising up or Cincinnati rising up. Like, you don't want to play them as a 6 or 7 seed.
Nope. But you wouldn't mind on the other side. You wouldn't mind playing the Falcons right now.
Imagine
you wouldn't mind playing the Bucks.
No, current in a wild card could catch you though. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, because we've seen that. So he could throw for 350 and just out of nowhere. That we've seen that happen. So they could get hot for a game. So I'd probably rather not see them. I think if someone like a Seattle caught fire was a 7 seed, you'd rather see that because they're not going to be a real threat at a 7. But any team that could score 30 and Atlanta's team that could score 30, I'd rather stay away from, because on any given Saturday or Sunday or Monday, now that they're doing that for the playoffs, you can get torched, and we've seen it. So the NFC is obviously the weaker conference for the time being. It might be for the foreseeable future because the way the AFC is going is crazy. Unless some guys will leave.
A lot of good young teams on that side. Who do you think matches up against the Lions the best out of those 4 teams, though? Probably still the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs in their defense. Defense is unbelievable.
Detroit will beat everybody else.
Yeah.
Because respectfully, their offense is unreal. And I don't see anyone else that would be able to neutralize. Once again, Jared Goff threw 5 picks and they still won, bro.
That's so bad.
Ask my mom. My mom's looking. I fell asleep. My mom was like, "Did you see what happened?" And I'm like, "What's talking about?" I thought they had lost because they was down and I went to sleep. And then she was like, "Yeah, like they kicked the field goal." And I was like, "What? Like they won?" So now we're in an era where things are happening that used to happen to Detroit, they're now doing to other teams. And it's not going to be a dud until watch them on Thanksgiving right now. Because usually it's just like it was kind of a throwaway game on Thanksgiving Day. So now we get to see them. We'll talk about that when we do the picks next week. But yeah, like that's or the following week, I should say. But that's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, they'll be everybody else in the AFC, but Kansas City.
All right. Game of the weekend, I'd say Ravens Steelers, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That'll be fun to talk about.
The night. That should not be a 1 o'clock game.
I know, that's really
that
weird.
should definitely be the night game. I don't know what they're doing there.
It should be the night game.
That's so crazy. What is the night game? The Bengals and the Chargers? I mean, that's not a terrible
game.
Yeah,
on paper that wasn't going to be bad, and it still could be a good game. We talked about it the other night, but
at least flex it to later though. At least flex it.
It's the 4 o'clock games out.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be glued. I'll be glued in. I'll be watching it.
Commanders Eagles actually tomorrow. That'll be fun. Thursday night. Okay, well, we've power ranked. We saw, we power ranked. For myself, for the Real BK, Bob Kelly, Hollywood, Rayshawn Buchanan, I am Dave Clarke. We saw, we power ranked, gents. Can't wait to see everybody next week, and go Steelers, I guess, because the Bears are fucking terrible. Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. What did you do on your last Saturday night?
Did you hear something?
Toilet paper.
There's nada. The reserves have gone dry. People are hoarding it. I should have done that.
They're all out of hand sanitizer at my Target.
Mark, when did you last watch the news?
We are getting reports of forced quarantines in China, Japan, and now Italy.
You're cutting onions in half and putting them around your apartment.
Yes, exactly. It kills the COVID.
Excuse me?
Let's go, get in.
Vamos, rápido.
Have you ever driven one of these?
Never.
I'll drive, ladies.
I've got the keys.
Excuse me, I'm lost. I'm looking for my wife. I got turned around.
Join me, Eric Roberts, Jennifer Elise Cox, and Ed Asner for The Last Saturday Night, an Electrocast podcast. You'll love it. Electrocast. Electrocast.